Exactly, yes. But if you can't get y by itself, and we'll talk about that in a minute, if you can't solve for y, then you don't have a function. So, with that in mind, can your calculator graph anything but a function?
No.
Well, yeah, but now you haven't learned how yet. But when you hit that y equals sign, all you're graphing are functions at that point. All you can get are things that pass the vertical line test. Okay, y equals x squared. Does this pass a vertical line test?
Yes.
Yes, if I run a vertical line, if I imagine a vertical line going forever up and forever down, it always hits the parabola at only one point, because I always have only one y for each x.
Wait, then why did the other one not work?
Because I put a data point down here at the bottom.
So it wouldn't have worked.
So at this vertical line I have a point here and a point here.
So if it hits the parabola once, then you're fine?
Yes.
Alright.
Now I'm going to show you another graph you haven't learned how to do yet, and that your calculator can't do, at least not easily. There's a way to trick your calculator into this, and you won't get to that this year, but...
Are we not qualified to do that?
You are not yet qualified, you're not yet certified. This is a graph of x equals y squared. This is a fine equation. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a fine relationship between x and y. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with graphing this. Does it look normal to your function-trained eyes?
Sure.
Yes.
Really? It should look weird.
No. It's absolutely fine.
It's absolutely fine?
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with this.
No.
Well, the
Renee
Renee...
did it sideways, and it would have passed the line.
It'll pass. It
The
won't
way it
fail.
was meant to be.
It'll pass 2 times.
It won't pass the line test.
This actually fails the vertical line test. It has 2 y's for some of its x's. It has 2 y's for some x's. It is an epic fail as a function.
You're really clever today.
I'm feeling quite clever
epic
today.
fail has nothing to do with being funny.
So, this is not...
Unless you're just trying to... I understand it.
Now...
But what I don't understand is, wouldn't you, if you did that, wouldn't you change the direction of the line for the vertical line test?
Good question. We are only looking... The f of x notation is important because we're only looking at functions of x. If you want to have a horizontal line test, then you're talking about functions of y. And there's no reason not to have f of y equals y squared, or f of x equals x squared, except for that Rene Descartes said, I always want this to be the independent variable.
So we just took what he said.
Yeah, and we've been running with it for 400 years. So
we might as well keep going.
yeah, I mean, why stop now? It's worked so far. But there's no reason why we can't say, you know what, I want the independent variable to be vertical instead of horizontal, and then we would say, then we'd have a horizontal line test. We could all decide to switch it tomorrow. But we don't. And if you decide arbitrarily to switch it on your own, you'll fail the SAT, convince your math professors in college that you're an idiot, and wind up homeless, sleeping under a bridge somewhere in Los Angeles.
Don't forget about my refrigerator box home.
Yes, you'll have a refrigerator box. So you guys get that this is not a function, but there's nothing wrong with this. Incidentally, what did I do between these 2 steps?
Just switched it around.
Switched what around specifically?
Use.
I switched what?
The independent and dependent variable?
I did. That's a good way to put. Well,
I was on a roll.
yeah.
So you
Okay, go ahead, Nimi. What were you going to say, which is a little simpler than what Brian said, I think?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you switch the x and the y, and you square the y.
Boom. All I did was switch just switch the x and the y, hold it at that for a second. Liza, follow me back this way. Sometimes it doesn't matter which is the dependent and which is the independent variable. In some cases, you get to pick that. For example, Becca and I decide to eat M&Ms. Turns out Becca is an absolute M&M fiend.
Oh. You already used this example.
I did before. We're going to do it again.
Becca, you're very rude.
Alright, so we get Skittles?
Yeah.
Alright.
Ew, Skittles.
Only the right ones.
Becca, alright, stop. Alright,
I don't want to
I'm going to stick with my original. Becca and I are eating M&Ms. Okay? So Becca,
Should we write this down?
yes, and Mr. B
Great.
are eating
Maybe.
M&Ms. Becca
No. It's graph people.
eats twice as many, no matter what. If I eat one,
As Mr. B.
as Mr. B. If I eat one, how many does she eat?
2.
If I eat 12, how many does she eat?
24.
If I eat 100, how many does she eat?
200.
M&M.
Daddy.
So, alright,
Well, maybe you should stop giving them to her.
if I graph,
That would be selfish.
alright, if I graph that Becca's M&M consumption always equals 2 times Mr. B's M&M consumption, then I'm going to get a line that looks like the line y equals 2x, which goes through the origin, has a y, it's like y equals mx plus b, it is y equals mx plus b, y-intercept of 0, slope of 2, you go up 2 for every 1 over, line's going to look like that. Because I've decided that Becca's M&M consumption depends on my M&M consumption. I eat 1, she competitively eats 2. Now, but what if what's actually happening is I'm actually watching her eat and deciding to eat half as many? Since I'm older and have to watch what I eat more.
Where'd it go?
Then I've switched which depends on which one depends on the other, and now what is going on?
Is that a graph or is it? Why did you make the arrow on the bottom longer?
Which one?
She's bothered. I see what she's talking about.
I thought it was like 2 lines on a graph and a line.
This is a graph.
So because you made the arrow longer on the bottom, then it should.
It's really
Which ones?
short.
Oh, no.
They're really
I
short.
only wanted to show quadrant 1 because
No, yeah.
there's no such thing as eating negative M&Ms.
So then,
I should have.
well, I know.
I'm sorry.
Well, how about you not take the arrow?
Okay, let me more clearly label what I'm doing here, okay? In this case, now what we're going to talk about is that Mr. B is, instead of Becca watching what I eat and doubling consumption competitively, I'm watching what Becca eats, and depending on how much she eats, I'm going to eat half as many.
How about you just go to M&M World in New York?
That's okay. Now we have a different line. Now we have the line y equals 1/2 x, where every 2 M&Ms Becca eats, I only eat 1. What's the difference between these two lines?
What line? Oh, hers is higher because she ate more.
Okay.
Oh no,
You
wait.
changed
No,
what's
you
dependent on what.
I switched to dependent and independent variable.
So that means that.
What's the difference in the information these lines convey?
I don't know how to
Well,
put it in
you
English.
said that you didn't eat the first
It will
time. You
not
didn't
pass.
eat any, and this the second time you ate half as much as you.